Councilman Treyger and I planned it like that. Good morning, Mr. President, members of the board. Thank you for giving me the time to be here. Mr. President, it's good to see you again. I agree with my colleagues who are on the other side of this issue. I too don't want to see any service reduced. But what we're talking about here is not letting the imperfect be the enemy of the greatest that we can possibly get. We're asking some people in New York City to wait on a platform for approximately a minute more, those who live closest to Manhattan, in exchange for which those who live further away will see their commutes be reduced by 20 to 30 minutes. Nobody is going to be on a subway car for even one more minute, not a single person. Not a single person will sit on a hot subway car for one more minute. Not a single person will see their commute lengthened by a single second. They will simply have to wait for 1 to 2 more minutes for a subway car. We're talking about polarizing. I view polarizing as this conversation, a debate about whether or not some in New York City can give 1 or 2 minutes extra on the platform in exchange for others to have a commute speeded up by 20 to 30 minutes. And I want to be clear what this means. A lengthier commute being reduced for some people who have a commute of 45 minutes, an hour and 15 minutes, an hour and a half, dropping it by 20 to 30 minutes. Some people sitting on a train station in the areas closest to Manhattan where their commute takes them probably 20 minutes, they wait an extra minute for a subway. They won't really be waiting because the subways, they're still gonna come. They could just time themselves a little differently. I'm very, very grateful, Mr. President, to your leadership, to the leadership of the MTA, for bringing this service. I do want to urge you, as my colleague in the council and as Assemblywoman Simon mentioned, bring more express service if you can. But I understand that there are limitations in your abilities to do that. And so we'll take what we can get. And I'm very grateful for that. Thank you.
The next speaker is Councilmember Treyger, followed by Murray Bowden.
Good morning. I am Councilman Treyger from Coney Island, Brooklyn. Thank you, President Beinford, of the committee and the board. For those of you who know me, I don't need scripted remarks. I speak very candidly from the heart, as always, and I will do so again today. I, first of all, do not like the idea of neighborhoods being pit against each other. Every neighborhood in New York City and in Brooklyn deserves good, reliable transportation. So I want to begin by saying that. But I want to paint the picture here first for folks in southern Brooklyn. When there are signal delays, which there are many, it disproportionately impacts the outer boroughs. I refer to Coney Island as the outer borough. We're far out there. I want to paint the picture of the average commute of a community leader who I know who lives in Coney Island and works here in Lower Manhattan, lives in Coney Island houses, NYCHA, by West 33rd. And she has to take a bus along Surf Avenue because folks forget, the majority of folks in Coney Island do not live by Nathan's. They don't live in the Wonder Wheel. They live in the West End of Coney Island. That's where the majority of our folks live. Working class people. We have to get to school, to work, to get to their appointments. So she takes a bus from Surf in the West 30s down to the Stillwell train station, which could take, these days with construction in Coney Island, 15, 20, even more minutes. Then has to hop on the train for a 50-minute to an hour commute, and that is if there are no delays. So when I hear other parts of the city complain about, commutes that are dragging out to an hour and a half or more, that's daily life for residents in the West End of Coney Island. Hour and a half commutes. It's outrageous, and it disproportionately impacts the working class people, the seniors, children, students having to get to school. So the F Express is something that we used to have, and we should have it back. But I agree with my colleagues, we need more service in general, and I'm all for that. I support any effort to increase funds, permanent funds, to the MTA to make our transit system and our bus system better and more reliable for every part of the city. But I will be unapologetic for my part of town that has sustained cuts historically when we're seeing development in southern Brooklyn on the rise. No community should have to deal with an hour and a half plus commute to get to school, to get to work, or get to a doctor's appointment. So I am in favor of restoring a more permanent F Express in addition to more service in general in Brooklyn and New York City. And I thank you for your time here this morning.